More games are coming to Xbox, some today, some tomorrow. Who doesn't love a good Xbox Game Pass subscription update? Hopefully everyone does if you're paying for it, but if you're paying those dollar dues every single month, Microsoft is adding more games to the Xbox Game Pass, and so let's just dive in because there's some notable titles, specifically the first one, called Snow Runner. Now, you may not have heard of this game, but it's actually pretty darn popular, and it's a neat little simulation game about honestly driving through the snow and building out different vehicles and hauling stuff. And these simulation games typically have a pretty loyal crowd, and this is coming to Game Pass, and so you can actually start playing that today. Other titles that are coming, Peggle 2, which will be coming May 20th. You got Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville, which is coming May 20th. Secret Neighbor, May 20th. The Wild at Heart, coming May 20th. The Catch-Up, Carp and Corpse Fishing is coming May 21st. Knockout City, also May 21st. Man Eater, May 25th. Conan Exiles, May 27th. And Fusion Frenzy, which is probably going to be a pretty popular one, and that's coming to the cloud May 27th. You've got Joyride Turbo, May 27th. Mech Warrior 5, I would love for just a super high-end ray tracing, 4K, 60, 120 frames per second ray tracing version of an updated Mech Warrior. But anyways, that's coming May 27th. You got Slime Ranch. You've got just tons and tons of more games are coming to Xbox Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate and Game Pass Cloud. Depending on where you play your games, it will determine what games you can play. But if you're on a console, you're more than likely going to play most of them. Other updates that Microsoft is also announcing, which is this is part of their new mantra when they come out with Game Pass stuff. They're like, hey, there's new games coming. These are great. Now, granted, some games do go away on occasion, actually, fairly frequently some do go away. But the other things they're now including in all this are updated to touch controls. Why is this important? Well, Microsoft is really working hard on making Game Pass play really well on a mobile device through Xbox Cloud Gaming, as they like to call it. And so, Banjo-Tooie, Colossi, Genesis Noir, Narita Boy, and then a couple others are now getting touch controls enabled, which just means that you can now use touch controls. I highly recommend, though, that you still use an external controller. More than likely, if you have an Xbox next-gen console, you have a Bluetooth-enabled controller already in your house. That one's a pretty easy and given, but I would still recommend looking at something like a Razer Kishi or a Backbone, which was recently reviewed on this channel, as additional ways to just enhance that experience, because I'm still just not really a big fan of touch controls for various reasons. One, that I've just grown up with a controller and playing on the glass isn't for me, but thankfully there's options. But I do know that there are people who are highly competitive and very capable of using touchscreen controls, if I can enunciate correctly. And so for those people, this is going to be good news. There's other gaming news on the horizon too. The Ascent previews are out now, and that is actually going to be dropping day one on Game Pass as well. And other good news is Grand Theft Auto 5, or V if I'm dumb in calling it that, but Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to launch on November 11th for the Xbox Series X and S, and also on the PS5 on that date as well. That is just a title that just keeps getting milked over and over again, but it's a good title, and I don't blame them. I don't know when we're going to get a next, I wouldn't say next gen version or a next game, but we will see. But either way, we're going to get that big update here in the fall, and so that is just something else that is on the horizon. And do not forget the fact that we're still waiting on Flight Sim coming to Xbox this summer. Microsoft hasn't talked a lot about it, but I would suspect that E3 might be a really fantastic time to announce that, because that is probably, I think, the last big kind of game showcase before the summer. At least before this, there might be one during the summer, but before the summer officially begins. And so, I'm looking forward to Flight Sim on the Xbox Series X. I'll be very curious to see how that plays in comparison to my gaming PC. But that's quite a bit of gaming news. Quite a bit of games coming to the Xbox Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions. And so Microsoft just keeps adding more and more titles to that, hopefully convincing you to jump over. So that's what Microsoft's got announced this morning. If they announce anything else, make sure to keep it subscribed here, because the only BS on this channel is me.